Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our webinar. I'm Amber from Small Business Britain. Today, we're talking about how to build a business plan on a page. I'm really excited because we've got Nicole Higgins with us today, who has over 18 years of experience in the retail industry. She's worked with some of the biggest names on the high street like Primark, and now she works with small businesses. And she's been doing a few talks with us at Small Business Britain. So I'm really looking forward to today. Hi, Nicole, how are you?
Hi, thank you for having me. Looking forward to doing the session today.
Thank you for joining us. I know you've got lots and lots of great information for us today. We are recording the session, so don't worry if you don't make loads and loads of notes. You can always catch up or send it directly to your email box, along with any resources mentioned as well. If you've got any questions as we go, please put them into the Q&A section. The chat does get very, very busy. I'll be keeping an eye on that, and I'll ask Nicole all of your questions at the end. Do say hello in the chat. Let us know your business and where you are in the UK. I want to say a massive thank you to Lloyds Bank Academy for partnering with us on this session today. They have lots and lots of free resources over on their Academy website, which we will show you at the end of the session and include in the follow-up email. Nicole, I'm going to hand over to you to get started on the session, and I'll be here in the background, keeping an eye on all the questions.
Great. Thank you very much, Amber. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today. As Amber said, we are going to be talking about building a business plan on a page. So before I go into that, I'd love to know where you're from, what kind of business you have, and how long you've been in business. So if you can put that in the chat for me, because that can help me with some questions as well that you've got later on, and maybe some analogies as well as we go. And then if you've got specific questions, if you put those in the Q&A, and we will get to those later on. So to just give you a bit of a update of who I am and what I do. So my name is Nicole. You can find me on Instagram as the buyer and retail coach. I've got 18 years experience working across multi-product businesses such as Primark, Marks and Spencer's, Debenhams, buying multi-product categories. So lingerie, health and beauty, and a variety of product types. What I now do is I help small and medium-sized businesses start, grow, and scale. I also have a podcast called Start, Scale, Succeed, which there's over 140 episodes now, and that is aimed at entrepreneurs just like yourself who want to start and grow a business. And the guests there are people that have either grown the business or experts that are going to help you grow the business. I've also been on lots of TV programs as an advisor, and also done some talks at trade fairs as well. So you may have seen me there. Right, but we are going to go straight into it. Oops, sorry. Now, so today, talking about building a business plan, I want you to think of the 3 Fs. So foundation, focus, and feasibility. And we are going to come back to this, but think about those: foundation, focus, and feasibility. And we're going to come back to that. But because first I want to share with you some quite scary statistics with you about businesses. So, and this is not to put you off your business, but this is just a bit of a reality check about some of the things that you need to think about when you're building your business. So 40% of businesses fail within the first 3 years. 42% of those businesses that failed because of a lack of market need, which is why when I'm talking about customer research and finding out, who needs your product, who your customer is really, really key. And another 29% run out of cash. So knowing where your money is coming from, your cash flow, keeping an eye on your finances, your numbers, all of these are really, really important. And then 19% couldn't compete with the competition. So that's market need, cash, competition. And then these are a couple of other reasons why businesses have failed. So what I want you to think about is, right, how can I flip that and reverse it so my business is a success? So other reasons that businesses haven't been successful are they might have had pricing or cost issues, and that can do with supply base. They might have had the wrong business model, or their product wasn't user-friendly. They had poor marketing. They mightn't have adapted with the times in terms of how the customers changed. Then the product might have started out as user-friendly, but now it isn't. So I want to also share with you 2 examples and 2 different types of businesses. So I don't know the ages of people we have on the call here, but I'm in my mid-40s. And if you are like me, we had a time before digital cameras, and it was Kodak and it was film, and you would wind the cameras around and you would go and get your product developed. So Kodak used to turn over £16 billion. And then in 2012, they actually filed for bankruptcy. And the reasons that this happened to them as a business was they were not focused on how the market was changing. They didn't adapt. Even though they had the technology to do digital work and digital cameras, they didn't adapt. And they focused from an income stream, they focused really purely on film and cameras. So, you know, they're still in business, you know, but they went from like 16 billion to filing for bankruptcy. Yes, they're still in business, but now it's very much film professional focus, whereas before, you know, Kodak was synonymous with camera and photography. So it was the market changed and they didn't adapt to that market need. More people came into the competition and they actually became obsolete because they didn't create the products that the customer wanted. And then I want you to think about Airbnb. So Airbnb have gone from 9 billion up to 9 billion in the last 10 years. And that first of all started out with two guys in San Francisco basically renting an airbed on their flatmate's floor in San Francisco. And initially, it was initially called Airbed B&B, not Airbnb. And some of the reasons why Airbnb were successful is there was a lack of competition. They revolutionized the travel industry. So they had a business model that they didn't have to pay for the premises. They used technology as a part of that business model. Great marketing, and it was a really user-friendly product, and there was a market need for it because people wanted a community and to understand a destination better by living with people who live there, or living, you know, using their accommodation. So why should you have, let me just get to my notes here a second. I've gone quicker than I thought I would. Why should you have a business plan? So a business plan is like your blueprint. You wouldn't start a build, excuse me, you wouldn't start building a house without architect's drawings. And a business plan helps you see the validation for why your business is going to work or why, you know, what your issues might be. It highlights those potential flaws and the opportunities, excuse me. And it's your assessment of what's going to work, you know, being able to implement what you need and why and when. And then a business plan can evolve and does evolve. And, you know, you need to think when you're creating your business plan, you know, why is this going to work? Why would it not? And we're going to go through lots of different things. And you will, at the end of this, see a business plan on a page, but there's lots of things for you to think about for that business plan on a page. And, you know, you also need to think about what information do I need to support why it would work? And what do I need to, you know, what do I need to explore? So that takes us back to the 3 Fs: foundation, focus, and feasibility. So with foundation, it's like your foundation of your house. It's the basics. It's what you're going to build on to create your business. Then your focus is and everybody's focus will be different in a business and in your business plan, but your focus will be what are the strategic aspects that you need to help grow it. We're going to talk about some of that. And then the feasibility is what do you need to do, the how, the when, the how, the what, and the when as well. So like I said, make sure you put any questions that you've got in the Q&A, and we will get to those towards the end. So with your foundation, feel free to screenshot these, and you might, as I go along in the slides, you'll see a little QR code on some of the slides that is for you to follow me on social media. So you can scan that and you'll go straight to social media to follow me. So your foundation, got your idea, your value proposition, your market opportunity, and your operational plan. And I'm going to go through each of these to explain a little bit more. So your idea is, why is it unique? What problem it solves, and why is it better? And when I go through the different steps, that will help make you understand that a little bit more and make it a little bit clearer for you as well. So just going back to your idea, why is it unique? Highlight the problem that it solves, and why is it better? So there's a lot of research that's involved in this initial stage of when you are creating your business plan and you're thinking about your idea. And then what I want you to think about is, why should people buy it? What is the value that you bring to the market and to your customers? How does it solve their pain points? And why is it better than the existing solutions? And also would suggest that you do a SWOT analysis on your business and your business idea. So, and by that, I mean your strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats. So that really helps you kind of look at what is good about this, where are my opportunities, you know, what is potentially not so good, where are my challenges, and you'll be looking at the competition as well, and then what are my threats? So it might be the economy, it might be technology, it might be staffing. So that helps you give a bit of a bird's eye view as well. And then your market opportunity. Now, this is key. This is so, so important for you. So you really need to understand who your customer is and what age range they are, what their pain points are, you know, and to, you know, like I said, age range, kind of demographic, you know, what their pain points are. Is it mums that you're targeting? Is it students that you're targeting? Is it very broad? But is it, what's the kind of common theme that pulls it together? Because you'll then be able to use that in your marketing. And you can understand more about what they need by going into quite a few different things. So you can ask directly for feedback. So you can create questionnaires, get surveys done. You can go into groups like Facebook groups that target your particular customers and just listen and listen, read, watch the comments, see what's going on. Using things like platforms like Quora and Reddit, and putting in your product type and or what you think your product solves, and seeing the conversations and the problems that those people come in or talk about. So for an example, a client I was working with, they were creating a brand and a platform for women over a certain height. And because she was tall, she had a lot of issues with finding clothing. And there were lots of things that came up in terms of the pain points and where else they shop. And so it's a really good tool to help you do that research. And Quora is also good. There's also Answer the Public. So you can see what are the top searches that people are putting in about that product. Google Trends as well is another way that you can do customer research. So what are people searching for? And another thing for you to have a look at is look at the bad reviews of your competitors, or go onto Amazon and look at the poor reviews of particular products, because it will generally say what's missing or what's not right with that product or service. And then that can help you with your positioning about what you need to do for your product and your business. And then I want you to you're going to have a look at the competition. And with that, you can look at your direct competition, you can look at indirect competition, but you want to see like, what's their tone of voice? What's their branding like? Who are they targeting? What is different that you are going to do to what they do that your customer still wants? That's going to help you identify what your USP is later on. And obviously all of that is part of market research as well. And then, but looking at, you know, we have the internet, we have Google. There are so many things that you can find in terms of what is happening within an industry. So often if you're working in a particular industry or product type, so say if I'm talking about the beauty industry and I might be talking about clean beauty. And if I put in clean beauty plus white paper into Google, there could be a whole white paper that will come up giving you market data, growth data, you know, what's happening in that arena that you can use if you're going for finance or if you're going for investment, so that you are potentially then creating a product in a growing industry, and what that value of that industry is. And another thing for you so you've got Quora, you've got the white papers, other kind of statistical things that you can look at. There's a website called Statistica. There's also edited.com that you can find, and even things like, you know, census information. These are all tools that you can find to help back up why your idea is a good idea. And it helps give you that validation and that confidence that what you're doing is the right thing to do. And then you would be thinking about, right, okay, how is all of this going to work? So, you know, how is your production? It depends on what your product type is. How is your production going to happen? Where is it going to happen? How is it going from point A to point B? How are you going to get your product to customers? Is it going to be a, you know, D2C website? Are you going to need to use sales agents? Are you going to have to use distributors? You know, what countries do you want to sell in first? Where do you want to go next? So this is your whole kind of, how are all the operations going to happen, and what marketing channels will you use? You know, is it, and part of that will play into communication that we'll have a look at later on as well. Let me just check the, like I said, I'll come back to questions as we go on. So that's your kind of your first part of your foundation. And then you want to look at where does your focus need to be? So we look at your strategic priorities. And like I said, this, I'm not going to go into too much on that because they will be different for different businesses, depending on what your business is and what your idea is. We're going to look at the core of your business and that essence, and that you know, is really part of the foundation as well, to be honest. And then your communication. So if you have a look at your strategic priorities, so these are the things in your business that are going to drive your success. And you would prioritize those depending on your idea and your market. And everyone, like I said, will be at different stages and have different needs. So it might be, right, okay, I need to really establish myself above the competition. So one of my priorities is advertising. I need to get my product patented. So one of my priorities is to patent it. You know, it's kind of, everyone will be different. And then your core essence. So this is your mission, your vision, your values, and your USP. So like it's kind of like, it's the heart of what the business is about. And it's one of the things that is going to make you really stand out to your customers and really different, because not many people have a unique idea or are first to the market with something. So a lot of things are, you know, how do you talk to your customers, your tone of voice, your branding, you know, what's the story? Why are people going to buy your product over somebody else's? So and just on mission and vision, and because sometimes people can get these a bit mixed up, is your mission is to explain what you do and who you do it for in quite simple terms. And then your vision is like your bigger picture. So I'm just going to give you two examples here. So we all know Nike and we all know LinkedIn. So Nike's mission is to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. And their strapline is, if you have a body, you're an athlete. And then their vision is to do everything possible to expand human potential. So you see how vision is like a bigger picture. And then LinkedIn, their mission is to connect the world's professionals to make them more productive and successful. It's quite simple. And their vision is to create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. So again, that's a bigger vision to the mission, but it all is part of the one business. And it's part of the heart of its reason for being, and for what it does and why you would use them and why their customers are attracted to them as well. And then if you think about, values. So your values are your kind of your personality and the foundation of what you stand for. So if I think of Nike, their values are inspiration, authentic, connected, and distinctive. So if you were generally, when you're thinking about your values, it's what are the three or four, usually 3 to 5 things that are at the heart of your brand. So for me, it's about empowering, it's about information, it's about community, it's about helping people get further in their business. So it's about growth as well. So think about your brand and your business, and what do you stand for as a business? Like, why do you exist? And then your USP, or your unique selling proposition, is what do you do that your competitors don't, that your customer wants? So there's 3 parts to that. Yeah. Okay. And actually, I'm just going to have a quick click in the Q&A. Just to see if there's anything about, and if you've got any questions on this particular kind of mission, vision, values, just pop them in the Q&A and I'll have a look as well. But just to Narcissus's point about, I started my business without a business plan. A lot of people do. That is okay. And yes, it's okay to do one now. And yes, it will give you the clarity to know where you're going, because a business plan is as much as a foundation and a blueprint, it's also helps you with a roadmap, and that can change, but it's good to get everything down on paper. Okay. And just, you don't get a copy of the slides, but you will, so let me just close the chat a minute. You will, as far as I know, you don't get a copy of the slides. Amber will clarify that for me, but I'm going to mention something towards the end that you'll be able to get, which will be helpful for you. Okay, so, and then on to communication. So who are you talking to? Where are you talking to? How are you talking to them? And when are you talking to them? And this can be team, it can be investors, it can be, you know, the banks, and it is absolutely definitely your audience as well, and your customer. So, you know, if you think about, you know, and the part of this will be your marketing strategy as well. So if I think about your customer, you know, where is your customer hanging out? How are you going to speak to them? What PR are you going to use? What advertising are you going to use? How are you going to use social media? Are you going to use brand partnerships? Are you going to do sampling gifting with your influencers? So that's like one part, say, with your customer, but then it might be with your investors, you know, who are, or your stakeholders. How often are you going to speak to them? What way are you going to speak to them? Your other people, it could be your team, and you might not have a team to start out, so that's fine. But you know, if you do, it's like, okay, who are they? Where are they? What do they want to know? What level of communication do they need? So it's just something to keep in mind for you as well. And then talking about feasibility, so your finances, your goals, your resources, and your team. So with your finances, you would want to look at your cost analysis, so break down everything of what it's going to cost you, and what your potential profit is going to be per item, per product, what you expect to sell, or if you have a revenue goal, how many do you need to sell to get to that revenue? So if you need to sell X amount, what size of your audience do you think it's going to need to be, to how many people do you need to reach to be able to get that? And then what's your break-even analysis as well? So at what point are you at profit? How many do you need to sell a month to have to be profitable by month? How many do you need to sell a year to be profitable for the year? And this is where like your cash flow analysis would come in as well. So it's really you thinking about, right, what am I going to need to spend? And that will change as you grow and as you progress. So it's something to kind of to keep coming back to. You know, because initially your costs of your product might be quite high because you're buying really small quantities, but then at, you know, month 8, when you expect to be able to be buying twice the amount of product, your profit margin will go up because your cost of goods will come down. So there are some of the things for you to think about with your, you know, your finances as well, and just be like jotting down everything that you feel is going to come into the business and everything that is going to go out, and what can you actually afford and when can you afford it? You know, because you can start, you know, I think Adam Frisbee from In The Style started his business on £1,000, you know, and then other people, like I said, Airbnb, they did a seed run for investment and got, I think, 20,000 initially, and then 7.2 million. So every business is different in terms of what their startup cost might be, and then how quickly they want to grow or feel that they need to grow. And then what you want to do is have your goals. So what are your targets from a customer point of view, from a market point of view, from a finance point of view, and then how you feel that you are going to get to them. So what are your financial goals? What are your market goals? So you're initially going to trade in the country that you're in, and then you're planning on expanding. How are you going to expand? When do you plan to do that? Who might you need to help you with that? You know, knowing who your customer is, how are you going to grow that customer? And also if you have different customer markets, like who's your core customer, and then what's your like secondary customer? And then also, how are you going to diversify? So you're not just focusing on one income stream or one product type. And not every business does diversify, but if I think back to Airbnb, so initially they started off with they started off with, it was a room in a flat, then, or an apartment or whatever it might be. Then it was the entire rooms. Now they do experiences, you know, so they've gone into a broader market. And then the other side of that, Kodak didn't diversify, they stayed completely with film. And then think about your resources and your team. Excuse me. So who have you got on board? And initially it might be just you. But who have you got on board? When do you need to bring in new people? What skills do you need? And almost do, when you think about that SWOT analysis, you know, think about that as well. And because it might be part of your threats, you know, you may not have the skill to do X, Y, Z, and you might need to get funding to bring that skill in. So if I go back to beauty again, you know, some people can create formulations, other people need to use chemists to help them create formulations. And that's a key part for them to build the business. You might need fractional support from a VA. You might need fractional support from a financial officer, you know, a CFO. And you would, when you were building a business plan, particularly if you were looking for finance, you would have those people on your plan, and you would say whether a full-time employee, whatever it might be. So yes, so then this is, if you were going to look at a business plan on a page, this is what I'm going to show you, what a bank would expect to see. So obviously they need to see more than a page, but this has everything, the elements and the headers that you would have on a business plan, on a formal business plan. Now, if you're not going for investment, banks or anything like that, I would still suggest that you create a business plan, absolutely, and get your ideas down on paper, going through the things that I've talked about, because it will give you an idea of, right, okay, where might my bottlenecks be? Where's my opportunity? And what this does is it helps highlight the blind spots that you might have on your business and on yourself, you know. So definitely if you haven't done a business plan already, you know, then get your pen and paper out, spend some time actually going through your competition, you know, your pricing, your products. I've recently spent some time with a client yesterday, and, you know, she's been in business 2 years, and it was the first time that she actually really sat down and looked at the numbers and the finances properly, and where the potential was and what wasn't working. So it's never too late to do it. And also, you know, it's going to help you grow, or like I said, highlight the strengths, your opportunities, or where the, you know, the potential issues might be. And also how you can stand out from your competition. Are you talking about that enough? So a formal plan, you would have something like this. So you would start off with an executive summary. So the executive summary is basically all of these points, but really summarized and condensed in your first page of a formal business plan. Then you would talk about your opportunity. So what's the company going to do? What does it solve? What are you doing that's different? And what's making you stand out? Then you would talk about your market analysis. So this would be the size of the market. You might include businesses that are similar, that are turning over a certain amount. You know, you'd also talk about, like I said, the competition and what they're doing and how you're different, the market size, who your target market is, you would talk about here. And then your execution. So this brings in that kind of operating plan and your marketing plan. So how will you do what you say you're going to do? So bring a product to market that costs this kind of profit. This is how we're going to communicate what we do. This is how we're going to grow the business. This is, you know, these are our partners that we're using for X, Y, Z. And then you would have company structure. So who does what expertise they have. You know, so it might be a bit of an organizational chart. Again, if it's just you in the business at the moment, you know, you could say that it's, you know, but you might be like, we plan on taking on X, Y, Z over the next 6 months. You know, and you also might have and you can kind of time frame that as well, because you're not going to spend loads of money on loads of staff when you don't need it right at the beginning, or you potentially may not need it right at the beginning. And then you would have your financial summary in there. So your cost structure, different income streams that you have, your profit margin or expected profit margin, and what your expenses are going to be, and your sales forecast. And it can be quite difficult for you to create a sales forecast when you are starting out. So trying to use information from what the market size is, and potentially, you know, but also thinking, right, what income do I want? So how many products do I need to sell? And what marketing am I going to do to drive people to that purchase? And then, like I said, you'd have a profit and loss statement there and then as well. So that is your business plan on a page. You will never get one business plan on a page. You'll never be able to fit it on a page. But if you go through the, you know, if you think when you're creating it, whether you need a formal one or you just want to get everything down on paper, start off thinking your foundation, your focus, your feasibility. So foundation, your building blocks, your focus, where's my focus need to be? What are the strategic things that I need to do to move things forward? And then your feasibility, how are you going to do it, when you're going to do it, and who do you need to do it, and what do you need from a financial point as well. And then come back to that, you know, to what I've talked about today, and that business plan on a page, and slot it all in. But really don't forget, one of the things, like, really keep in mind your customer, so key, your customer, your USP, the competition, and your product. So think people, product, and profit are the three things. I like condensing things to three things. So foundation, focus, and feasibility, but people being your customer, your product, and your profit as well. So really think about those things when you're creating this. So I'm going to take questions and go through the chat and the Q&A as well. So Amber, if you're ready in a minute, you can find me at the Buy and Retail Coach on Instagram. The podcast is Start, Scale, Succeed. If you want to work with me one-to-one, you can book a discovery call using this code there. And what I'm going to do, if you connect with me on social media, DM me the word plan, and I will send you a checklist of what I've talked about today. And we can have some questions now as well.
Amazing, Nicole, thank you so much for that. That was so insightful. I love the way you broke it down really simply for everyone as well. As you can see on screen, there's a couple more learning modules with Lloyds Bank Academy, so do feel free to head over to that. It's absolutely open to every small business. You don't have to be a Lloyds Bank Academy, Lloyds Bank customer, sorry. And I think on the last slide, we might just have a little QR code to give some feedback from the session today. So if you could scan that, let us know what you thought of today. It's always great for us to keep bringing you amazing webinars like today. Nicole, should I dive into the questions?
Yes, I have the Q&A open, but you might have seen, and there might be some of that have come through the chat, but yeah, go ahead.
Let's go. Okay, so first question, should the business plan, should everything be translated into numbers?
Yeah, I think Girish, I think that question probably came through before I talked about that feasibility and that financial plan. So yes, definitely it should be translated into numbers, what your projected sales are going to be, what your costs are going to be. Then yeah, you need to definitely have those plans in there in your business plan.
Amazing. We've got lots of questions about the tools you mentioned today about market research. Would it be okay to have a copy of those, and we can include that in the follow-up?
Yeah, so there's Statistica, there's quite a lot, but like Statistica edited, I'm just putting a few in the chat here as well. So Statistica edited, I think it's Answer the Public.
Yeah, I've heard about that before. It's really helpful for businesses.
It's really good. Amazon reviews, you know, national, you know, or if you're you want to kind of know about the age range of a certain population or whatever, then you've got census information. So really, Reddit is another one, Quora, Google Trends. Like I said, let me just think, and just use, like, you really can find so much on the internet. Put in market trends plus your, you know, say if you're starting a coffee brand, market trends plus coffee, and there will be loads of things that will come up, and you just need to kind of, and you might have something that's like 10 pages long, but there's and the whole 10 pages is no good to you, but there's one paragraph that is pure gold for what you need.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Amazing. I love that. Thank you. We have a question here. In this day and age where all business ideas seem to be thought of and been executed, some have not succeeded. How do you think of a good idea that would fit a gap in the market? I think that's a really interesting one.
I think you go through that process of, so you need to understand if your idea is viable as well. So you go through that process of, right, what's my idea? Who else is doing that? What are they doing well? What are they not doing well? And, so really, because like you say, there isn't many ideas that haven't been thought of. And then when people do come with the ideas that haven't been thought of, you're like, oh my God, that's amazing. Why has nobody thought of that already? Then, so you can, and that it is going through that process of who's my customer, getting the feedback. You could test things as well. If there's something that, you could get research from different areas. You can test product without having a product, so you can see what the interest is as well. So there's quite a few different ways. I think hopefully with what I talked about, some of those are already covered.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Just going back to the market research question, someone's put in, we have a holiday let business already established. How do we research when we don't have a physical product?
So if you think you've got holiday let business, you've already got however many people that have already visited your holiday let. Mm-hmm. So you can ask them for feedback. You can understand what are the travel trends or the leisure trends that are happening in your area or in general, and what can you glean from that? And if the question's gone, I just wanted to refer back to it. Is it disappeared?
Sorry, yeah, I said
again. Yeah, sorry.
So yeah, they just basically said they already have the holiday let business established, and
it's
how
not
they do research, they don't have a physical product.
Yeah, so but you've got a customer, so how are you communicating to them, getting the feedback from those in particular? Go on to the answer the public. What are the top things that people are looking for in accommodation? Are you talking about those within your social media? Feel free to come on and ask another question that's more specific about what you want to know, and then hopefully I'll be able to answer that as well.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Thank you so much. Gary has said, we see hundreds of business owners submitting applications for finance each month. The biggest gaps are lack of understanding of how cash flow works and having a plan B if things go off plan. What do you recommend for people to learn these skills and mindsets?
Well, that could be another workshop for
another hour
to do. I think banks are a lot of help as well. I don't know, Gary, what kind of business that you work in, but there is a lot of help out there about how cash flow works. So, I don't know off the top of my head, but I think going to banks, and I think if there's some things that as a business owner, you like, my really weak point is my numbers. You shouldn't be going to finance and they shouldn't be submitting applications without understanding those. So maybe it's, for yourselves, you shouldn't need to have a checklist before you even take those applications of, do you understand X, Y, or Z? If not, go and speak to the X, Y, Z people first.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Okay, thank you. Our next question, do you think it's a good idea to take a business idea from one country to another country that does not have that product or service? That's interesting, a whole new market.
Yeah, I think it just really depends on, is the need for it and is the customer there for it? Mm-hmm. So, and how big it may be. So if you are selling something in Australia and it's very weather focused and, it's something that people do, it's very like an outdoorsy sport and it's a product for that sport, then you probably wouldn't be looking straight to the UK for expanding that market, but you might be going to Dubai in the Middle East. So I think it's looking at what your product is and where is the most nearest viable market for you to test it in, and then kind of almost starting at ground zero again, looking at your customer in that market, looking at getting feedback, looking at other businesses in that market.
Amazing. I've just seen someone's put into the chat regarding holiday lets. My business helps short-term let landlords to make their properties safe for guests, which is a great marketing angle. And I think that's great, like really niching down and helping a specific pain point for landlords and guests, I guess.
100%.
Amazing. Right, there's lots of questions coming in. Some people asking for your social media. Do you mind if we just maybe go to that slide? Because I know you have so much help and advice for all the businesses on the call today.
That's it on. Let me just pop it on. So yeah, like I said, what I do, if you follow me on social media and connect there, DM me the word plan, and I will get you a checklist with this kind of information on as well. And we've still got time for more questions, so we can keep going through those. Yeah, I'm here till 11 to answer the questions you've got. So
Of course, keep them coming in. Another question here. We see so many people fail due to poor pricing analysis and typically underpricing. What do you recommend for business owners to learn to price their products and services? I think that's a really great point, because lots of people do undersell what they do.
yeah, so first of all, do not just double your your cost price to get your retail price. That's what some people do. They go, oh, it was £4, so I put it at 8, and you really want to see where your brand sits within the market, and what your competition are doing. So definitely look at what your competition is like, but then where do you sit within that competition, and what do you offer that's different? So if you kind of think of, it's a bit of a random example, but if you think of airlines and you think of Ryanair, British Airways, EasyJet, whatever, they all offer something different. They'll all get you to your destination most of the time. But they'll all get you to your destination. But if you want cheap and cheerful, it's Ryanair and EasyJet. If you want a bit more luxury and you want a better service, then you're probably going to, you have the finances to do it, you're going to fly with British Airways. So it's where their cost of fuel will be the same, but it's where your position is, where your product is positioned. So back to the costing, and that's what I would look at, is look at your competition. And then if you offer something, much more expensive, that's okay, but you just need to make sure that your branding, your marketing, your messaging is all linked to that, and gives that, and your service gives that experience. You think of Hermes bags, there's no way a Hermes, or actually, no, it was something I remember seeing a Marc Jacobs a hair clip that was £200. And there's no way that hair clip cost £200 to make, cost £100 to make. It probably cost about £25 to make, £30 to make. So if that. So don't just double your price point. See where you're positioned. What are you offering that's different? What do you need it to be? And is that commercially sensible as well? Don't just go, okay, I want to make 80% margin, I'm going to put it at this price point. But if all your competition is a hell of a lot cheaper and you're not offering anything that's different, then, don't do that either. So I hope I've covered some of that.
No, that's so interesting, especially with the airlines analogy, like with Ryanair and British Airways, for example. It's about that customer service and how it makes that person feel. And, people would rather sometimes pay more to get a bit more of that, luxury, and maybe a bit more of an ease.
It's how it makes them feel, is it, when they fly, and that journey is.
And it's like with the hair clip as well, like that person probably feels amazing because they spent £200 on a hair clip. I mean,
and they're £10, £100 to them is potentially £10. But £100 to somebody else is like someone else's £1,000, so it could be different. I can go through some of the questions, actually. I'm not, if there's any on the chat, Amber, if you can know those. I've just the question from Miriam, what if I thought I knew my ideal client, whereas in reality, people with other characteristics are buying? I'll just do more research into that, get on a phone call with those particular clients and find out more about them, because there might be something else that is uniting them all that you just don't realize. And then that will help you better with your communication as well. And Emma's comment was, my business is a new idea. Do you have any specific advice, please? I produce beautiful playing cards that act as guides to the towns. Okay, Emma, it's quite broad, but I think do your research, understand who your customer is, make sure that you are pricing them right as well, and that whoever you're speaking to as a sponsor is aligned from a collaboration point of view, that it makes sense for them to be a sponsor. Then let me see if as I scroll down, oops.
There's a few more questions there just come in.
Yes, and Gary's recommended a couple of things. So Gary Lennon, you can see in the chat, he's got some links about mentoring and a few different things from their startup loan scheme. But yes.
And there's an interesting question here just come in. I've seen, how do you utilize AI to help you creating your business plan?
ask the right questions and ask again and ask again. So with AI, you can, it's all about what you put into AI, about what you get out. So, and then I would always change it to your tone of voice and make it like, don't just copy and paste. So ask it, you might say, I am a startup business. Well, first of all, you can ask it for a format and it will throw out a format to you. And then but I would just keep asking it the right questions. And it will all just depend on what you need from AI to help give you, but it's a good tool to use. But sometimes it can be very jargon heavy. So if you're putting all this jargon in a business plan and then you're asked about it and you can't explain it, you're gonna look a bit silly.
I think it's great just to get that template as well, to if you've got a bit of writer's block, just to help you get it on the page. You can go in and edit it and obviously make it make sense to your business.
Yeah, 100%. Let me see. We've dusted that one. Actually, Amber, you might be better because you'll know what you've answered.
No problem. I've got another one that's come in. Do you think technology is a core part of a business nowadays, and it's more almost a requirement to have technology incorporated in the business? Or do you think customers, would you want something away from, or do you think customers want something away from technology?
I think that question, if you can come back to it, whoever's asked it, and explain a little bit more. Because if you're talking about technology, should you have a website? Should you have, because that is technology, then yes. Technology can help us draw a lot of data from our customer as well. So I think do you mean if people want something offline? So is it experiences? If you can just explain that one a little bit better, then I will hopefully be able to answer that one a bit better.
Thanks so much, Nicole. Next question. I make upcycled earrings from beer cans, which appeal to beer lovers, funky jewelry lovers, and eco lovers alike. I've had customers from children to older people, so I do struggle with hitting a single market. And I think lots of businesses can relate to this. And also, I absolutely love that.
So, Caris, what you'll find is a link is they're arty, they're creative. That will be something that no matter what age they are, that's who you're probably, who you are attracting. They like something that's a bit quirky, so it's not an age range, it's a demographic as such, in terms of they're earning this amount of income and they're this age range or whatever, but it's a feeling, it's it's that creative person. It's like when you think of Nike, it's really broad, but their values are inspiration and innovation, and I can't remember, there was something else as well. So they're hitting a broad range of people. Think of, everyone knows Primark, and they're very broad. Their core customer is 18 to 30, so they do have a core customer in mind, but their strap line is amazing fashion for amazing prices. So that's what unites their customers. It's people that want something that's fashionable, that's value. So you see what I mean? It can be broad, but there can be some core things that you can use in your messaging to attract your ideal customer that's going to love your products.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. And that's definitely one thing I've learned from all these webinars that we've been doing over the years, is that it's not just to get hung up on the gender and the age of them. It's more like the emotion and why they're buying from you. And that could affect anyone at any age. Miriam just put into the chat, I have a similar challenge. I thought my market was vegan and gluten-free, that's the products that I bake, whereas lots of people are neither vegan and gluten-free orders from me. So I'm stuck who I should target. That's quite interesting.
I would do a bit of, you can create a Google form, a really simple Google form that you can send out to your customers. You ask them the question, do you only buy vegan or gluten-free products? Or, are you vegan? Are you gluten-free? Yes, no. If no, why do you buy your products from me? And it might be that they're a great taste. So your focus could be taste, but then your gluten and vegan are your added benefits, so, but again, it depends on, vegan and gluten-free is part of your messaging, but I think you just need to probably drill down a little bit more in terms of who is buying from you and why they're buying from you, to understand that a little bit more.
I think sometimes more for other people as well, and to accommodate for dietary requirements, and maybe
they might be buying them as a gift. they might be buying them as treats for others. And to be honest, there's so many people that are now vegan or gluten free that it might just be for them the safest option if they're going to see someone, or they're buying it for someone else, or it's part of a party or whatever,
Yeah. Do you
and
know
then
what, on
everything
that,
is included.
Matt in the team is dairy free, so he'll often go for vegan options. So that can be one to think about. There might be dairy free people in there. Someone just put into the chat, can you mention the 3 words for the business plan? I think it was
Yeah, so foundation, focus, and feasibility. And then what I was saying is, the other one that I was saying was people, as in your customer, product, and your profit. So that they're the 3 ones that I would kind of, that it helps you just think a little bit. But yeah, like the 1-page business plan I'm going to share with you as well anyway. But and if I can share it towards the end, and you can just take a screenshot, but I'll be doing a bit of a checklist that I will send out to those who those that DM me the word plan. Jacqueline has said, you mentioned Google Forms, how can these be accessed, please? So you literally go into a Google Drive, and so if you've got a Google account set up, or you go into your Google Drive, and you click at the top and you go new, and you will see a document, an Excel spreadsheet, or you'll see a form, and then you can create it like that. It's just a questionnaire, and then you send people a link to fill in, and you'll see all the responses, and you can filter those responses. It's really good.
They're super easy. We use them all the time here. So yeah, if you've got a Gmail account, it's all free. Love a Google form. Jacqueline has also asked, where is your podcast available, and is it free?
Yes, podcast is free. 140 episodes. Start, Scale, Succeed. I know. I can't believe it. 140 episodes. Start, Scale, Succeed. It's available everywhere. Apple, Spotify, everywhere. There's also a link to it on my Instagram as well for you to find it. And if there's particular things that you want to know or understand, because there's 140 episodes, it's quite a lot to go through, just DM me what stage you're at, and I'll let you know. I'll be like, okay, listen to episode XYZ, listen to this one, and then listen to this one for where you start. Or you could start number 1 and work your way through. But
that's amazing. Yeah, I think that'd be super helpful for businesses if you could direct them through your 140 episodes, which is amazing. Congrats on that. B has just put into the chat, could you elaborate a little more on the mission and vision of the business, please? I am a jewelry designer maker working in a fully sustainable way, and I make bespoke pieces, repurposing, and restoration services.
Yeah. So your mission is what you do, and who you do it for, and why you do it. And then your vision is your little bit of a kind of a bigger picture. So it will be down to what, that's quite a personal, like your mission and vision is very personal to you and your business, and your business values as well. So I would say, if you're struggling with it, then sit down, and it might take you a couple of goes to get it, but like, basically, who do you do, what do you do, and who do you do it, and why do you do it for? Is it, I make, and this is a really simplified, but I make XYZ type of jewelry for this kind of person, so that they can feel XYZ, or they can experience ABC. So, and wait, if you're struggling for it, go into Google, ask it for examples of mission statements, and see what you can do. Go into ChatGPT and explain what your business is, what your values are, and ask it to give it some options as well. And then you might be like, okay, that's not quite right, but I can use this bit, or that resonates with me, I can use this bit as well.
I love that. Use ChatGPT and see if it can help you.
Yeah. I don't want that to sound like a cop-out, but it does help you clarify sometimes when you've got so many things going through your head about what you need to create and do. It can help you zone in a little bit more.
Yeah, help you condense it and make that elevator pitch, I guess, as well.
Yes.
Okay, we've got 4 minutes left for questions, so if you've got any more, please pop it into the chat quickly. Would you recommend someone have a business plan that involves something they are passionate about, for example, delivering stuff like Amazon, or go into something that is somewhat logical? There is a gap in the market for it, and there are higher chances for success. What do you think? I think that's a passion or logic.
I think both work, but I think if you're going to something that's a passion, that's if you're working on something that you're passionate about in terms of whether it's a product or a service or whatever it might be, then it's going to feel less like work, I suppose, and you're going to maybe enjoy it more. But you still have to go through the numbers and make sure that it's going to work, you know, and not just become a hobby and you're spending all this time and it's just becoming a hobby and there isn't a market need for it. Like if you think back to why those businesses fail, and one of the top ones was because there isn't a market need. So regardless whether it's something that you're passionate about or something that, like if you've got two business I don't know, sorry if I pronounce your name wrong. If you've got two business ideas and you're like, I don't know which one to go for, I would go through that that exercise and see which one is, you know, the most sensible one for you to go after. You know, do the research, find out the gap, and then it's a very personal choice about, you know, what you do for your business.
Amazing. And it's a very sensible
quicker
one.
Yeah, and the quicker one to make money might be the logical one potentially, but then that can fund your passion one to start, and then you know, so it's different for everyone.
I absolutely love that. Do you know what? The first thought that came into my mind was go for the passion, but you're the business expert, and that's why you've been in this session
and
today.
yeah, I mean, there's something, you know, there'll be people that absolutely that it's their passion project, but it just really depends, you know, what can happen with passion. What can happen with passion is you get carried away and you end up doing everything you like and not what you should be looking at, which might be the numbers, you know. So that would be my very much, if you're going to go for a passion project, essentially really keep an eye on the numbers, because if not, you'll just be pouring time and money into something that is not potentially going to work.
So true.
You know, it might, but you know, it's just there's been a couple of questions about how often you should review your plan. I kind of look back into it every year. It depends how fast you're growing, like not even every year, but it depends on your milestones within your plan. So if you had, when you were looking at your growth and you're like, okay, by month 3 or by Q4, I want to be XYZ, then, you know, then you want to review it because you might be growing faster than you had intended. So all these other things are going to come sooner. Or you might be growing slower than you had intended or that you wanted. So what else do you need to do? Do you need a cash injection to spend more money, on advertising? Do you need to employ someone on a part-time basis to do your social media so that you can grow faster? You know, and then I think Sinead, I don't know if it's Sinead, sorry, my business is successful and followed a 5-year plan to get there. I now need a new plan. How do you choose new goals when you're thinking you should when you were thinking you should just keep going? Decide on what those goals should be. And I would have both personal and professional goals in there for yourself to then help you make your business plan. So if you have a personal goal that you want to sell the business, or, well, I suppose that's a professional one, but say you have a personal goal that you want to stop working at a certain age, then what do you need to do financially? Where do you want to be financially? How are you going to get the business to those finances? You know, you might have a business goal that you want to sell the business in 5 years. So that's your next, you know, how are you going to get to that? And I would say, right, in year 3 of that next 5 years, you need to be start looking for people to sell to, because that period can take a long time. If you're very visible in your business and it's only you, then you might need to have, you know, different operating processes and stuff like that. So how do you choose new goals when you're thinking? Decide on what you want. What do you want professionally? What do you want personally? What's your number? What's your life plan? And, you know, what are the things and those milestones that are gonna take you there?
And I guess also your goals don't have to be massive, you know, massive goals. It can just be really, really small ones as well.
Yeah,
Nicole,
have short-term and long-term goals as well. So short-term, medium, and long-term goals, because sometimes a long-term goal can be just too like far away, and you're not, you know, it's like, oh, it's over there. But if you've got short, medium, and long-term goals, then yeah. But thank you so much, everybody, for your questions.
Nicole, you make running a business sound so simple. I want to thank you so much for spending, I know it's not. Thank you so much for spending this hour with us. So much love for you in the chat. Please do head over to Nicole's socials. She'll help you there. Email us at hello@smallbusinessbritain.uk if you need any more help. Also, Lloyds Bank Academy have lots of great resources for you as well. We've been recording, so you'll receive a copy of that along with the resources mentioned today. Massive thank you for all your questions. It's been a great session. Enjoy the rest of your week. Do keep an eye on our email because we'll have lots and lots of more lovely webinars out today for you. Nicole, any final words before we wrap up today?
No, just connect with me on socials, DM me, stay in touch, and thank you so much for your questions. Like I said, I work one-to-one with people. I will be doing workshops. I do occasional workshops and stuff as well. Some are paid, some are free, and there is the podcast there for you to listen to. DM me the word plan and I will send you a kind of a checklist of today and your business plan that you can use going forward. So thank you so much, everybody.
Amazing. Thanks, everyone. See you soon. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you. Bye.